That's it. The Acolyte is finally over, and now it is time for our season in review. I'm Shade Sem.
And I'm Brennan Sem, and we are the New Wave Nerds. That's right. Today we're going to be talking about the highly lauded show from the Star Wars universe.
The beloved.
The one that everybody's been talking about.
Yes.
It's definitely ruffled some feathers. The Acolyte.
Has it?
No, I think it's actually been really uncontroversial. Yeah, it's had a really great reception from all parties involved. There's no assigning blame.
Nerds love it.
Yes, everybody loves it. And the people who love it are really nice to the people who don't love it.
And know Star Wars very well.
Yes, that's the universe that we're in.
Anakin blew up the Death Star.
Anakin did. It was a terrible tragedy. It was a terrible tragedy. So Shade, no spoiler reviews. You know, we did episodes, segments on the first couple episodes, but no spoiler reviews. What did you think of the show overall, as a whole?
As a whole, okay, so it was a very beautiful show. It had some very great shots. It did have occasional good characters for a little bit, you know, and it had some good choreography and some good fighting scenes, I will say.
I'll agree to that.
I did like some of the nods that they made to, you know, classic Japanese films, you know. Sometimes they went a little too far with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very interesting show, I guess.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely agree with you there. Yeah. I'll agree on the points that I think it was a very well-made show.
Yeah.
Insofar as, yeah, there were a lot of really good scenes. There was a lot of interesting cinematography. You know, there were some really cool shots there. I would, as far as the characters go, I would say that there's probably one good character. There's probably one character who got the actual development needed.
Yeah.
Everybody else sort of got
murked,
tossed aside, didn't get really any screen time, any development whatsoever.
Yeah.
And overall, I think just unfortunately the writing was not where I wanted it to be.
Not at all.
This was not the type of show that I was expecting. You know, and this is one. It was a little hard watching the first couple episodes because this is one that I was really, really excited for.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about before how often or how much we enjoy like the High Republic era and how it was so interesting to be able to finally get a series or just any project set in that era on the actual screen rather than just in the comics. And so I was really excited. I thought we were going to see some really, really cool stuff. And ultimately, yeah, it was unfortunately just a little bit of a disappointment. It was just a bit of a disappointment. I'll agree that the choreography was pretty good. In a lot of cases, I thought it was, at the very least, it's fun to watch. If you analyze some of the fights, there's a little bit where it's like, okay, well, this is you know, we had multiple openings to attack or to disarm or to, you know, go the full distance or whatever. Like, we had multiple opportunities, but the fights looked cool. That much at least I will agree with. But yeah, overall, unfortunately, it was just disappointing. The writing was not at all where I wanted it to be.
The lightsaber dueling, now that was pretty mid.
It was there were some high points for me. I thought, you know, there were some good moments. I think overall, analyzing just the lightsaber battles as from the series as a whole, I think they're decent. You know, like I said, there's some high points, there's some low points. You know, they're all right. I forgot what I was just gonna say. Sorry, so you go ahead.
I like costume designs occasionally. I don't like her character. It's not a good character. Sorry, I don't like either of their characters. But May, her first assassin outfit.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
It looks pretty cool.
I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yeah,
I'll agree. There were some cool design choices. There were some other design choices that, you know, neither of us were necessarily crazy about.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of what we're going for here. I like the armor shrouded in the cloak. I wonder if I can find a better picture of her. Slightly better. You're going to see a little bit more.
I like that they stuck with the Old Republic old Republic cloaks, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
The yellow, it looks pretty good.
Now, one thing that I will say is I don't necessarily like the fact that all of the Jedi are completely uniform in their costuming, and I think that that's on purpose. They're trying to say something about the institution of the Jedi Order, right?
Yeah.
That it's just what's her name? Mother Aniseya at one point even calls it an institution, right? So the idea is that it is this ginormous faceless machine that takes away your individuality, and that's not quite right.
Yeah.
In other stuff in the era, in the High Republic era, we see Jedi wearing different colored robes. We see them wearing various things, and throughout all of the Lucas movies, and frankly, a lot of the Disney stuff that's been put out, the Jedi all have slightly unique costumings. Like they're all very similar, but they're unique. They're different, and so the point that you're trying to make here is sort of overshadowed by the fact that that's not what the Jedi Order really is.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think sort of that might be a little bit of a sort of overarching theme of this show, is that there are points that can be made here. There are points that could be made that are interesting, that would maybe cause the viewer to look at the Jedi Order in a different way compared to the prequel stuff. But it's overshadowed by the fact that it's so overdone in this, and it's so devoid from what we see from the Order in other stuff later on, like in the Lucas era and in the later Disney stuff, and even in the Disney produced High Republic comics, right? Like it's a different, it doesn't quite match up with what we've been shown and told. And so I think that's one of the reasons that it sort of falls flat, and it just feels like messaging. It doesn't feel like story.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess one of my biggest issues with the show that really bothered me was overacting.
Yeah.
Sol.
I wasn't going to say anything. I don't know why you apologized.
I thought you were like breathing in.
Well, I was breathing in because I have to breathe in to live, but
I mean, you don't have to. I mean, Sol, the actor of May, they overacted so much in this, and it was so over the top. And a lot of the times it was also a mix of under the top. Under the top. It was just a wild mix, and that there was for Amandla Stenberg.
Yeah, Amandla Stenberg, who played May in Osha.
Yeah, for Amandla Stenberg, there were I can't even think of a scene where I was like, that was some good acting.
Yeah, there was never a scene where I was wowed by her. I'm going to push back on your commentary about Lee Jung-jae, Master Sol. I thought his acting was really good throughout. I mean, there were parts where it was much, but any time where he was acting a lot, it was when I think the scene called for it and when the writing called for it. And so I think he did really, really good.
Yeah.
And also, I'm going to cut him ever so slight bit of slack just because, again, he learned English for this role. He's a Korean man, and so he comes from Korean TV. The most thing he's most known for is Squid Game. And so to have him, here it is. Okay, maybe it's not what he's most known for because it's fourth on the list, but it's definitely high up there. It's what he's most known for in America, I suppose. But regardless, I thought he did really good. But I'll definitely agree that overall, the acting was not wonderful. It was very bland, especially Amandla Stenberg. She was not great.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but even Kathleen Kennedy,
Kathleen Kennedy?
What?
Who are you talking about?
Matrix.
Carrie-Anne Moss?
Who's Kathleen Kennedy?
The person who's in charge of Lucasfilm.
Oh, okay. All right, my bad. Carrie-Anne Moss. I hate to say it, but I did not like her acting either. I did not like her acting.
Yeah, see, so her thing, so as far as Carrie-Anne Moss's performance goes, I think that's mostly from direction. Because again, I think the idea of that character is that she is supposed to be this, this cog in the machine, right? She's supposed to be this sort of mostly nameless, faceless master who constantly wants to report back to the council. She's constantly like following the rules, being by the book. And so I think the idea of that character is that she's supposed to be emotionless. And I think so that's partly direction and partly, yeah, probably Carrie Ann Moss just phoning it in a little bit.
Well, and writing. I mean, like her lines weren't good either. Like
No.
she didn't really have. She had a lot of one-liners though.
Well, I mean, one-liner implies a comedic joke.
Oh, never mind.
She had, yeah, a lot of like single lines. Yeah,
She cracked me up.
she was funny. She was the best part. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Like, she didn't have really any actual screen time.
Yeah.
Really. Like, we barely saw her. And again, so this is at this point we're going to transition into the spoiler section of the show, because so we can start talking a little bit more about the things we didn't like, the things we did like. So this is your final warning.
This is your warning?
Yes. If you want to hear what I was just about to say, then you better go watch the show first,
Yes.
or just don't care about spoilers. Whatever happens.
Yeah, or just don't watch the show.
Or just don't watch.
Don't
the
give
show.
it the credit it needs.
No, I mean it's you can watch it if you want.
All right, yeah.
I mean, if you, at this point, if you skip it, you're not missing much. But you can give it a watch. I mean, the episodes are short, so.
Well, I guess if you're a Star Wars nerd and you have a big Star Wars friend group, you probably should watch it to make jokes about it with your friends.
Oh man! But anyways, in the spoiler section, this show, and I said this on, maybe it was our segment where we discussed like episodes 5 and 6, but this show is a masterclass in deceptive marketing.
Oh yeah.
A masterclass, right? Because we've got Carrie Ann Moss, who is on the poster and is a character who doesn't really receive all that much screen time. And when she does, she's just a foil to Jedi Master Sol. There's no character development there whatsoever.
Yeah.
She's got very few lines, very little screen time. She gets murked in the opening 5 minutes of the episode, you know? And then we have Kelnaka, who that one is sort of redeemed by his appearance in episode 7, I think it is. But again, a Jedi Wookiee in all of the promotional material, a character you assume is going to play a large role in multiple episodes, and he plays literally no role.
He detects metal.
Yeah, he's got a metal detector at one point. He's searching for them coins.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, I mean, it literally looks like a metal detector, but I guess the idea is that they're searching for the source of the Virgins or whatever.
They just spent all the budget and they needed something.
They didn't want to design a whole new machine. It looks like a metal detector, but whatever. So, you know, we see him in at the end of episode 2. He walks in, he goes, "Rah!" And then he scares some guys away, and then he goes to bed.
Oh yeah.
and then in episode 3 is the flashback. In episode 3, he just stands there.
Yeah.
He goes, "Rah!" But that's really it. He goes a couple times.
Well,
but
that's all he can say.
Yeah, but he doesn't play any part in the actual story. He just stands there.
Yeah.
He's just there for Carrie Ann Moss to be like, and this is Kelnaka.
He's cool.
This is Kelnaka. And then we get into episode 4, and all we see is his corpse slashed up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he was a
Yeah, just that's all we get.
Yeah.
You know, I read there was one of the writers replied to a tweet, and they asked about the Wookiee fight scene, and the writer said that they had a fight scene written, but they scrapped it because they couldn't afford it.
They probably spent it on the metal detector.
Yeah, well, that thing, I'm sure it's expensive, man.
Detects.
I mean, but it pays itself back over time.
Not.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it.
They're trying to look for best car.
Yeah. But then, you know, he shows up in episode 7, and it's just as a bad guy to be mind controlled.
Yeah. The only time we get to see him fight is when he's bad.
And then the one that is the most irritating to me, and there is no way to ever redeem this, ever. Even if you come back with a second season, like, there's no way to redeem just how awful this was to do to the viewers in season 1. It's Vernestra's light whip.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
that was shown in the trailer. Like, that was something that got everybody excited, everybody talking. And then the only time it shows up in the entire series, the only time she uses it to kill a moth.
False advertisement.
She slaps a bug, and that's it. We don't get to see her use it in a fight. We don't even get to see it a second time. It's just the one time. That one shot that is in the trailer is the only time that the light whip is ever used in the show. Like, how could you possibly think that was a good idea? To include that shot in the trailer, knowing that it's going to build hype, and then to do the whole season, well, I mean, to cut the trailer, knowing ahead of time that this light whip is not going to appear ever.
Well, they changed it from the poster, I'm pretty sure. No, but I think it was just still a straight
I'm pretty sure it was just a straight lightsaber.
And it's purple.
Yeah, it's purple.
It's purple. Come on.
That's special to Sam Jackson.
Exactly. Yeah, I really wish they wouldn't give that. I kind of want that to stay to Sam Jackson.
Yeah, but I think she's got purple in the comic, so it's like it's something it's happened since like 2017 or something.
Okay, her acting was at least almost as atrocious as
Vernestra.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rebecca Henderson, wife of Leslie Headland.
She had one emotion the whole time. Every single line she read it, she was like, give me a line.
I don't know a line she said.
Brennan, your hair is looking great today.
Oh man. But yeah, no, I mean I agree. I mean, again, it strikes me as the kind of thing where Leslie Headland was like, "Hey, you are a faceless cog, an emotionless cog in the machine of the Jedi Order. And so you have to play this by the book rules person. By the book rules person. And so, you've got to follow the code and have no emotion and be, whatever, which again is like, if you want to make that choice, that's fine. But if you have multiple people do that, and if we don't get like a scene where that person cracks a little bit, where we get to see beneath the veneer of serenity, of calm, if we don't get to see the emotion ever, then it just looks like bad acting.
Yeah.
It just looks like bad acting. Like, you got to have some, at least a little bit of variety to show that you can, like, to show that it's a choice to do this way.
Yeah.
But it just didn't feel like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, and, shoot me if I'm wrong, but use of...
All right, let me back.
Droid usage. There's
only one.
There's only one droid, and it sucks.
Little Pip.
Pip sucks.
Little Pip.
He squirts some water.
Yeah, he's not fun. We don't get any shots of him, wreaking havoc like we do with BB-8 or with R2-D2.
He just chills in a pocket.
And
he's on the advertisement too.
Is he? Oh yeah, he is right there.
He's right there.
Yeah, right there, just right behind Sol's head. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I don't think it was poor use of droid. I mean, from a story standpoint, it makes sense because you want something little and handheld. If you're a mechanic, because remember it's Osha's droid originally.
Yeah.
If you're a mechanic, that strikes me as the type of thing that you want to do. But again, like even the droid has no opportunity for like development.
Yeah.
Like, even the droid, like all the other droids in Star Wars, they've got some character, they've got some development. We get to see them do stuff. But even in this, halfway through the season or whatever, he gets factory reset like an iPhone, and he turns into a droid that doesn't talk anymore.
Yeah.
He's got red lights instead of blue to signify that he's evil instead of good now. And he doesn't talk, and he doesn't do anything. It's like, if you want to include a droid because it's Star Wars, and you want that droid to be something that people will enjoy, then you have to give it an opportunity to do fun things.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing about R2-D2, BB-8, K2SO. I can't remember any other droids. Is K2SO from Rogue One? I'm pretty sure.
What does he look like? Tell me.
He's a big tall guy,
Big,
sort of gunmetal.
Is he
got a
black?
big old chest.
is like his like is he painted black?
I
believe.
I think he's silver, but I could be wrong. In my head, he's silver, but I haven't seen this movie in a while. Let's see. We're looking at Rogue One right now.
We're actually looking at Andor.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I was thinking of Cassian. I looked at that first image and I was like, this doesn't look like a scene from Rogue One.
Yeah.
But I didn't
Kate-
bother to
Kate
check.
Bledsoe.
Yeah, you're right. He's black. Yeah, yes. Yeah, you're right. I thought he was gray, but I'm wrong.
I like that droid a lot.
Yeah, he's good. Alan Tudyk. He does really good as that. I hope they bring him back for Andor season 2.
Man, he's done so many voice roles for Disney.
Has he?
Yeah, look at his.
Oh, I didn't know he was Sonny in iRobot.
He was in Spider-Man too.
Additional voices. He's the Joker in that Harley Quinn series.
He's a nerd. like we've talked about. They don't do those animated shows because for the money.
Yeah, we got Young Justice. He's Green Arrow in that.
Oh yeah.
This was a good show.
This was a great show.
I only watched the beginning, like when I didn't mean to do that. I meant to go to the episodes. I want to say I only watched like the first 2 or 3 seasons maybe. But yeah, no, this show is really good.
Was this the introduction for Aqualad? Like, was this his debut? Or was he already a character?
I'm pretty sure he was a character. I'm not 100% on that, but I want to say that he existed in... I'm pretty sure he's there in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah, here we go.
Oh,
1960. But that's Garth. Let's see, who's Jackson Hyde? Here.
God, I need to read more Aquaman comics.
Yeah, me too. That's a pretty dope picture.
That is.
Dude, Aqualad was so cool in that show.
Oh yeah, his water swords.
Yeah. I was trying to find like his alternate or what do they call it? His secret identity. Alternate. What the heck am I talking
His
about?
alternate ego.
Well, I was trying to find out if this is Jackson Hyde or not, but I don't know.
This would be a fun one to review.
Oh, it is Jackson Hyde. I don't know why I didn't say it. Yeah, this would be a fun show to watch for sure. Let's see. Is it streaming anywhere?
HBO?
On Max? Well, the first 4 seasons. After that, it must... Oh, wait, no, it is only 4 seasons.
Oh yeah, because they renewed it for a new season.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so so I only watched the first 2 seasons then.
Okay. Yeah, I never watched. I haven't watched the newest one, but when I was a kid, I remember I watched it all the way through.
I did think it was weird that it went from 2010 to 2023. I was like, no way did this show go for 13 years and I didn't remember it.
Gosh,
that's weird. I don't like when if they redo or renew a show like a decade later and they still like do it as the same show. At that point, I think you should do it like X-Men 97 and have it listed as a separate thing.
Is that what they did with the Clone Wars?
No, so the 2D micro series is completely different, which you should watch. It's so good.
Oh, I'm talking about like them continuing the series.
Oh no. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's actually a fair point. That's actually a fair point because I like the way that they did that. And yeah, what was the time gap in here? I want to say it was quite a while. 14 to 20. Yeah, so we got 6 years.
Damn, 7 seasons.
Yeah, and they're all good. Well, the first two are iffy. I mean, they're not iffy. They're still a good show. They're well made, but it's as we talked before, it's when they were still making like a children's show, and then in season 3 and on, they were like, let's introduce some more mature themes, some longer story arcs. But they did it good because I think they realized that their viewer base was growing up.
You don't like the movie, do you?
No, the movie's terrible,
okay,
dude. Nobody likes the movie. It's terrible. It's really bad. Ahsoka is absolutely unbearable in it.
I've said this once and I'll say it again. I haven't seen the dilly darn show, but Ahsoka's troopers are the coolest looking troopers ever.
Yeah, they're really cool. I like that. And I like the way that works in the story too. Because, I mean, you know that Ahsoka leaves the Jedi Order, right? That's obviously not a spoiler.
No, yeah.
When she comes back, and I'm obviously not going to spoil any story stuff. I'm not going to say why she comes back, even though you probably already know that too, because I think I've probably talked about it before.
Yeah.
But when she comes back, Anakin is like so excited to see her. Like, because, this is like his little sister, basically. You know, like towards the end, they get to be really close friends. Like they definitely grow out of that father-daughter aspect of the Padawan master relationship. And so when she comes back, he's so excited, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna get to work together again. You could join up." And he's like, "How does I think he makes her a captain, or something like that." And then that's when he gives her his own battalion or whatever.
Bro, an Ahsoka graphic novel drawn by the same guy who drew Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
that would be cold.
That would be amazing. I would love to see him do some work on Star Wars. The paneling on that is absolutely beautiful. I would love to see what he could do with some Star Wars worlds. I
haven't read Superwoman of Tomorrow, but Supergirl of Tomorrow. But
Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Supergirl Tomorrow. Superwoman of Tomorrow.
I haven't read it yet, but I know for a fact that is some cool art.
Yeah. I just finished it, and it was the first thing I said to you.
Yeah.
Is that, like, dude, the art is so cool.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Back to the Acolyte. I just want to say, from a story standpoint, the idea, like, this show is, it's definitely, you know, heavy-handed that this show is supposed to paint the Jedi in, like, a bad light.
Yeah.
You know, it's supposed to paint the Jedi as the antagonists of the series, right? It's supposed to be told from the Sith's perspective. But in every situation, the Jedi acted in what is irrefutably a justifiable manner in every single step along the way. I mean, so let's just take a look. We're in the spoiler section, so let's just take a look at episode 7, which is where we get to see the full backstory, the origin of the girls from the Jedi perspective, right? The Jedi show up, and as soon as the conversation starts, the second the conversation starts, Mother Aniseya is trying to get into Padawan Torben's mind.
Yeah.
She's immediately trying to mind control him. Before the conversation even starts, or like 2 words into the conversation, you can hear the echoes and it starts to go. And then we get that scene, which is actually a pretty cool scene, in my opinion, of Mother Aniseya in like the mindscape of Torben. I thought that was cool. And then later on, when they go back and, you know, the events transpire that result in the deaths of the witches, the reason he goes back, it has to be after effects from the attempted mind control of Mother Aniseya. Because when she's in his mind, she's saying, I can give you what you want. You know, you can achieve all your dreams. You know, tell me what you want. And he says, I want to go to Coruscant. And then later on in the episode, you know, all of the Jedi are talking, and he rushes off against orders or whatever. And what he says when he does it is, if we do this, if we get these girls, we can go back to Coruscant. Now, granted, the idea, the opinion, the desire was already deep in Torben. But to Mother Aniseya directly awakened that.
Yeah.
And then later on, you know, we get the Wookiee fight scene, and all of the witches control Kelnaka. They mind control him again. Their whole thing is about, like, we should be able to practice the way in which we desire. We should be able to practice our religion how we want. Their whole thing is about choice. And in every episode we see them, they actively choose to take away the choices of others. They actively do mind control. And then furthermore, after Kelnaka gets an owie and goes to sleep, he gets pushed pretty hard. He's concussed for sure.
Oh yeah.
After that, you know, Master Indara puts her hand against Kelnaka's head to, like, force the witches out, and they all die. So it turns out the power of one is stronger than the power of many, first of all. And then secondly, all of the witches died because of their own use of this evil power.
Yeah.
All of the witches died directly because of their decision to take away the choice of a Wookiee.
But they need free use.
You know, he's chilling.
They need it.
He's chilling. I do think it's hilarious that in the end, the power of one killed 50 witches. Master Indara was like, get out of Kilnaka's brain. And they were like,
they just dropped.
Yeah, it was insane. And sorry, I just wanted to say one last thing about how the Jedi are justified in every step of this show. Even when Sol, again, we're in the spoiler section. Even when Sol stabs Mother Aniseya in the chest or whatever, that action is 100% justified. Because what happens there? You know, May pulls up, and Osha goes, or not Osha, Aniseya goes, no, or whatever she says.
Yeah.
And she expands her arm out, and black tendrils come out of her, and black tendrils come out of May. I couldn't remember if it was May or Osha, and I just said it. And the idea there, if you're the Jedi standing there, if I was Master Sol, I'm thinking, oh no, this witch who just mind controlled my friend, two of my friends, is looking to eat this child. Like, this witch is going to absorb this child to take her power.
Well, it sure looked like it.
Yeah, and so it's justified at that point. If you think he thinks that Mother Aniseya is going to effectively kill May, what is he supposed to do in that moment? Just sit there? Like, and I'm not saying that it's okay. It's obviously a tragedy when any life is lost, right? There are mistakes across the board here. This is not a full exoneration of the Jedi. But to act like they weren't at the very least justified in their actions is a gross misevaluation of the show to me.
I feel like Sol's character, he got kind of done dirty at the end with them telling the council, that, it was his fault. He's a bad person.
Well, they said he's a rogue Jedi who killed all of his colleagues.
Well, yeah. Oh my gosh, I laughed so hard during that scene when she was like, Master Sol was he was a courageous, humble, kind man who murdered.
Yeah, it was definitely a quick switch up.
Like 30 witches.
Yeah, it was fast, but I mean, so while I don't think he was executed well in the show, I think this plot point could have only been executed well if they had 4 more episodes after this, so that they could they could see the ramifications. But the idea of like a story, I mean, from a PR perspective, like, this is what corporations do, is they find one person to scapegoat so that the organization itself doesn't take the blame. Yeah. So like, that makes sense from a story perspective. I just wish we could have seen a little bit more of it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I just don't understand why she was telling the people who that Sol was such a kind and courageous man, and then telling basically the same people that he was a horrible man.
Well, when she was saying that he's a kind, gentle man, she was talking to May. Oh, because remember, okay. May gets her mind wiped, and May is like, I don't even know what May asks, but yeah, that's when Vernestra is like, he was a kind, gentle man, and he was my friend. And then we jump cut to her speaking to the Senate Oversight Committee or whatever, and that's when she's like, it's all his fault. It's all Sol.
She's a great friend.
Yeah, she's a good friend.
Great friend.
She's a really good friend.
Yeah.
But I did like the fact that when she sees his body, she goes up to him and she whispers in his ear, "I'm sorry," because she already knows what she's gonna do. She already knows she's gonna destroy this man's reputation.
Yeah,
I did like that.
Which sucks. I mean, I did like Sol.
Yeah. Well, he was the only character who had development.
I thought he was a great Jedi. I mean, he did what he had to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he made some hard choices. He had to decide between the 2 girls, and he decided this one's better. So he just let the other drop.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, like, that's not exactly how it went, but he had to make a choice, and he made it.
Yeah. And against Sol, I don't know why he didn't let both bridges fall and then just catch both kids with the Force.
Yeah.
Because the children are, I would have to imagine, the children are a little bit lighter than a giant metal walkway, you know? So, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, that seems to me like what he should have done. But then again, you know, I mean, you're in the heat of the moment. I mean, he's exerting all of his force. He acted on instinct to save them both. And his thought process in that moment was probably like, I can't hold this up. You know, something's going to happen here. And he made a judgment call and saved Osha because she wanted to be a Jedi.
He just force pushes them both.
He's like, I can't deal with this anymore. That'd be funny.
Yeah, no, that was just redonkulous. Yeah, he was a good Jedi.
Yeah, he was a good man.
He
I mean, he made mistakes as any man does, but he was a good man.
Yeah, and it sucks that he just gets murked, and I don't like the way he died either.
Yeah, it was very
stupid.
Well, it was a little long. You know, the scene was a little bit longer than it had to be. My biggest complaint with that scene was the way that Osha held the Force choke. She was like, no, I mean, the idea here is that you're using the Force to choke them. I mean, like, holding it like this, like, that's iconic. I mean, at the very least, if you don't want to do the whole hand, because that looks kind of dumb, and you just want to have the two fingers, like, it's got to look like you're exerting force.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you're just like...
You gotta make it look cool. You gotta, like, shake a little.
Yeah.
Because you're choking someone.
Yeah. But here's what I will say about that scene. I really, really liked the continued theme throughout the whole series where they're constantly like, you need to kill a Jedi without a weapon. You need to kill a Jedi without a weapon. And at the end, it turns out that the way that you kill the Jedi without a weapon is you unlock that Sith ability, the Force choke. I thought that was really cool.
I didn't even think about that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. And so at this point, I kind of want to transition to talking about May and Osha.
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about the reveal that we get in the final episode. So throughout, the entirety of the season, we're sort of led to assume that these two people are twin sisters, right? But as we find out in the last episode, they're not twin sisters. They're not sisters at all. They're actually the same person split into two bodies.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It makes their little nursery rhyme make a little more sense.
I believe it was the power of...
No, it's something like always one, but born is two or something like that. I mean, that makes much more sense.
Yeah.
But here's what I'll say. It is weird that they have the same fighting style.
Yeah.
It is weird because I guess the idea of that is that they are the same consciousness, and so somehow they have the same muscle memory, but they don't have... I mean, it doesn't make any sense because they don't have anything else really shared between them. I mean, obviously they have this connection. You know, Osha receives visions of May or whatever, but it's not like they have shared thoughts. It's not like they have shared memories. Just for some reason, they have the exact same fighting style.
It's not like they were born identical either.
No, which is another weird thing. They grow up to look like the exact same person, but when they're children, they look different.
Maybe through time they, I don't know, adapted the same form.
My guess is that they just couldn't find a kid who was able to act like they were talking to somebody when they were talking to nobody. They had to have another kid to play off of.
Yeah.
But at that point, why don't you just get a kid, like a body to stand there, put some of those little dots in their face and CGI, Osha, the girl Osha's face over it or whatever.
The adult Osha's face on it.
Yeah, no, yeah, the adult. That'd be funny. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Why don't you just have another kid be there as a stand-in, somebody who's vaguely the same body type as the Osha actor, and just CGI the face on?
The CGI
Like,
already looks great.
in some cases, yeah. I didn't like the way the ships looked.
Yeah. Well, I hated that dogfight between Sol and May. Jinx, get out of here. Brennan.
Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't like that it really either.
First of all, it didn't seem like the Sol thing to do. Just barrel through all them.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't, like we talked about, he didn't fly up. He could have flown over.
Could have flown up, could have flown down, could have just waited.
He could have took her by surprise from above or below. If he really wanted to crash through all of those meteors, he could have just crashed upward and saved him the hassle.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. And I think that's probably my major complaint with the writing of the show is that I feel like the writers don't understand the characters.
And didn't think.
I feel like the writers don't understand the characters. Like they don't know what the characters' motivations are, and so they change on like a coin flip, or they do things that don't necessarily seem like stuff that they wouldn't do, or maybe the writers know exactly what the character's thinking, but they just do a bad job of showing that. Like if you flip on a coin, there's got to be a good reason for you to do it, right? Like it has to be explicitly stated, or at the very least alluded to as to why this person does something differently from everything that we've seen.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like like I'm playing Jedi.
The first one?
No, the one we're playing right now.
Oh, Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Star Wars: The Old Republic. Gosh, not Jedi.
Not Jedi.
Star Wars: The Old. I feel like I'm like playing Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I'm like randomly clicking on sentences to say.
Yeah.
To some NPCs, like that's what it feels like. It's just so. Yeah, you're right. It's just so random.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that like their characters make choices that don't make sense for like how we've known them before and stuff, and I think that's ultimately one of the main reasons I don't necessarily enjoy the writing. And that's why the character development is so bad. It's like we don't get to see anybody because, we don't get to see anybody go through any changes. Nothing really happens, But at this point, any final thoughts? I've got one last scene that I want to talk about, which is burning a hole in my brain. But do you have any final thoughts?
Yes, but I think it's what you're going to say. Does it involve a lightsaber?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So we'll just do this one together. So here's the thing. In the last episode of the series, while Osha is killing Sol. Before we do that, actually, I guess I have one more other thought I want to say. I did like the thing where Osha puts on Qimir's helmet and she gets a vision. And what she thinks she sees is May standing over the killing Sol without a weapon with a saber in her hand, right? But it actually turns out that it's Osha. I thought that was cool because it sort of plays on that, same consciousness thing. At first, when it happens, you're a little bit like, you guys are wearing different clothes. How did you not know that was you? but on second thought, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so maybe the idea is that inside their head, maybe she just saw, I don't know, whatever. But I like the idea that she confused the two of them because they're the same consciousness.
Yeah.
I just had another thought, but it's not fully formed, so I'm going to save that for a different episode. But about the actual final thought. So as Osha is killing Sol, the Kyber crystal, she's holding Sol's lightsaber, which got damaged because it hit a rock. It hit a rock, and so the Kyber crystal's now exposed.
Yeah, the whole thing just broke.
Yeah, well, it's a big rock.
It's a fragile lightsaber.
Yeah, it's not the most important or strongest weapon in the galaxy. Nothing like that. And so she's holding on to it, and the Kyber crystal starts to turn red. She's bleeding the Kyber crystal. And then after Sol dies, it turns fully red. The crystal inside the hilt is fully red. And then afterwards, she flings the saber out, and for some reason it's not red already. Like there's still, even though the crystal's red, there's still blue at the top, and the red's like flickering fighting. It's weird.
Yeah, it's deciding.
But here is my big thing with the scene. And I want to preface this by saying I think kyber crystal bleeding is so cool.
Yeah.
I think it's such a cool concept, and I was excited to see it in live action. And I think it's cool that we get to see it in live action. But how we get to see it in live action, I'm not exactly a fan of. Because we've seen kyber crystal bleeding in canon stuff put out by Disney.
Yeah.
In this Darth Vader comic that I have right behind me, it's volume 2 of Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. I think it's called Legacy's End. This is where we see a kyber crystal be bled. Darth Vader has to go and find his own red lightsaber, and the way that he does it, first he has to kill the Jedi librarian, Jocasta Nu, and after that he steals her lightsaber, takes her kyber crystal, and then the way that you bleed it is you have to actively choose. You have to actively choose to pour all of your fear and hate and anger and all your pain, all your suffering. You have to actively choose to infuse it into the kyber crystal. Because the thing about kyber crystals is that they are intrinsically light side, like they're intrinsically on the light side of the Force. They are. That is a part of their fundamental nature, is that they are a part of the light side. And we're having issues with the camera, so we're just switch to this scene. The issue is that the kyber crystals are light side beings, and so you have to actively choose to pour your hate and anger in, because the kyber crystal fights back. Because they are intrinsically light side, they do not want to be corrupted to the dark side, and so because of that, it fights back. It tries to turn you to the good side. In the comic, the kyber crystal shows Anakin, or Darth Vader, visions of what would happen if he came back to the light side. It's trying to turn him good, and he has to choose to stay evil. He has to choose to stay to the dark side. You have to actively do it. And so to have Osha just stand there holding the lightsaber, and just for it to like slowly bleed and turn red,
just on it instantly,
just instant, like it doesn't make any sense from a lore standpoint. It makes the story not as good, because now it's like she's not an active participant in becoming a Sith. At this point, it's like she doesn't choose to be a part of the dark side. It's like it just happens to her.
Yeah.
And that's the opposite of what the Sith are supposed to be. Again, you have to actively always choose to be a part of the dark side. You have to actively always choose to be doing things for your own gain, your own benefit. And it just, from a story standpoint, it hurts the show.
What I feel like Leslie Headland was doing was she was listening to what the fans wanted in live action, and she took what she also wanted in live action, but she took way too much. She put way too much into one thing. I mean, Plagueis.
Yeah, for the half a second we get to see him.
Plagueis. Kyber crystal bleeding.
Kyber crystal bleeding. Yoda.
And there's one more. There's one more big one that I cannot think of.
I don't know.
Crap. But anyway, she throws all of these things from these Legends books that the fans just want.
Was it the light whip?
No, but that's another one. Thank you. You just keep adding them. It's just maybe if she would have taken out like a couple, I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, if there just wasn't so much, I guess, political issues going on with the show, it would have been better.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing, is like when you make a bad show and then you tell the people who say it's bad that the only reason they think it's bad is because they're hateful bigots.
Yeah.
It's just going to make people turn on the show even more.
Yeah.
It's just going to make people hate your product even more. But so on like Plagueis and the light whip, and stuff like that, specifically Plagueis, why would you even bother to include him like that for a half of a second if he's not going to if it's not going to play any role in the series whatsoever? Like, it had been one thing if there had been like some illusions throughout the whole series that maybe there was somebody watching, or allusions throughout the whole series that maybe somebody was behind Qimir. Maybe he's reporting to somebody else, but there's just nothing. There's no mention of anything like that. And then we get to see a scene of his face in his hand against a cave. It's like it was one of those things where you could tell when they were writing the show, they included it so that it would be like a fan service cameo.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the kind of cameo that actually has any impact on the story whatsoever. You know what I mean? And when it's somebody as big as Plagueis, somebody that people have been clamoring for since Revenge of the Sith.
And this big of a letdown?
Yeah, and to just have them just be there. Like, either use them or don't. Don't have this weird half of a second thing where we just see his face. Like, this is the kind of guy where if you're going to include him, you want to include him in a way where he has an impact on the story. Like the Darth Maul cameo in Solo.
Yeah.
Like, that is a fan service cameo insofar as it's a fan favorite character who everybody loves, who always wants to see more, or of whom we always want to see more. And they reveal him at the end, and it turns out that he had an impact on the entire story because he's behind all this. He's behind Dryden Voss. He's the guy who organizes this. Like, that's the thing, is we get to see Ray Park for, like, I don't know, 5 seconds maybe. He gets one line. But from that, we know that he is involved in what happened in this story.
Yeah.
And instead we get Plagueis, who's just here for half a second.
To be a creep.
Yeah.
Just to caress a wall and breathe.
Yeah, like, if you're going to include this character, have him play some role, or hint that he played some role. I mean, when I say have him play a role, it sort of implies that I think he needs to have, like, a lot of scenes or have lots of lines of dialogue. No, I mean, it's a cameo. Like, I'm not asking for, a 3-minute scene where he lays out his evil plan saying he was behind everything all along.
Yeah.
No, you just got to have something that makes it matter that he's there.
Like, dang, Stanley at least delivered mail.
But with that final thought, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Let us know down below in the comments section, what did you guys think of this? Were you as let down as we were, or like so many others, did you think that the show was actually pretty good? Let us know for sure, and we will be back here Monday with a brand new news segment, and we will see you guys then.